Hi, so I talked about Babymetal's first album and I talked about their live album. Now it's time to talk about their second album, Metal Resistance. Now, I am very mixed about this album because I like it very much, but not as much as the first one, and many people like this one more than the first one, unfortunately. So I'm kind of backed into a corner against everyone, in my opinions, I think, on this album, but I like to still explain some things about it, also go song by song, what I like, what I don't like about them. Basically, what I feel like they did for this album was, from a production standpoint, it's bigger, it's better, but creatively, they took a few steps forward and a few steps backwards. A few steps forward, for example, are that the mix inside the music itself, like inside a song, and everything blends a bit better. And there, for example, in the first album, there were a few parts that just change musically completely during the song, and that was a little bit weird. It still worked, but it was weird. And here they do that a lot less, but they do seem to pander a bit more in the selection of songs. Like, for example, there is a song that does this type of metal, this type of metal is in this other song. You don't like metal too much? Well, there's a piano song that's kind of metal, but a lot lighter. It feels like, even though they're mixing a bit less in the music itself, they're mixing a bit more in a way that just feels a bit forced to me. A bit like, well, you don't like the other ones, but there's this one anyway for that person. Like, there's, music is subjective and everything, so I guess I'll shut up about that part. But it starts with Road to Resistance, which basically was the first single they took out, and it does feel epic, because, for example, on my first review they said, Ishimeda Medzetai was epic, that's why they use it for live shows, but now they're using Road to Resistance because it's just as epic, and even though it is an epic song, I didn't feel it was as good as Ishimeda Medzetai, but it's still a good song. I wouldn't say, the hype ruined it or anything, it's still a good song, but I wouldn't say necessarily it's my favorite. It has a few parts that are a bit weird. For example, I don't know, the chorus isn't that big in my opinion. At least not as much as I expected from the whole hype of it all. But then we have songs like Karate, which is my favorite song of the album. I probably listen to that song every day, I think. And it has something to it that just is weird. It has this mix that almost feels like it should have been in the other album. Maybe it was supposed to be in the other album, I don't know. But it just feels like the first album, which is probably why I like it more than the other ones. Then there is Awadama Fiva, which is basically maybe my second favorite. Basically, the first half of the album has a lot of songs that I really like, and the second half has a bit less, but still has a good mix of songs I never listen to but like, songs I always listen to but like, and just one or two that I might not like too much. But basically, it's a bit disorganized. Awada Madrima, Fiva, sorry. But basically, the chorus saves it, in my opinion. Like, the verses themselves aren't that good, because it feels like the music and the lyrics and the voice in itself, they're moving to a different speed, but that's okay, especially because, like I said, the chorus does save it. But then we got Yava, which is basically my favorite one for them to play live, besides another one I will talk about later. Basically, Yava is this weird mix of, like, metal and bit ska, I guess, and just, I don't know, it just makes me smile to listen to it. I don't know why, it just makes me smile. And it does have this weird bridge at the middle that's it's kind of darkish, but it goes back to the roots of the song. It does, whatever. But then we have Amore, which feels just like this is the first song I got from this album that I just never want to listen to. It's not a bad song, it just feels a bit, not really forced, but like a filler. Like, we have 10 songs, let's add number 11, that one that wasn't good enough, but we needed an 11th song. It can't be the ending, because the ending's gotta be epic, so just put it in the middle. And that's what Emotive feels like to me. But it might be just a personal thing. Sorry if I'm looking down a lot. I'm reading notes because I took down notes. Otherwise, everything in this video would be a lot more confusing. But then we have Metataro, which basically is a good song. And I think the first time I heard it was in the live show that they did, the one for the other review I did. Basically, this one starts what I would call the second half of the album, which well, technically, that would be from Dusk to Dawn, but I would say that starts from now. Basically, it's this weird, like, I'm not sure how to call it. I just feel like a weird epic marching song at the beginning. It does get lost a bit in the ending, but overall, this one is one of the songs I would probably suggest to someone that doesn't know the band yet. Listen to this one if you want to listen to the new album, or listen to, other ones from the first album. But out of this album, I would probably say for a starter to listen to this one. But then we have From Dusk Till Dawn, which is musically the most intriguing for me, and the deepest, at least, from like a production standpoint, because it doesn't force too much the singing and the lyrics, and it emphasizes more the actual music. It's probably supposed to be an interlude, which is why I said probably this would be the beginning of the second half. Basically, I wouldn't say I love the song, but it does feel epic in a way that, for example, what's it called? Road to Resistance doesn't feel. It also has like this weird thing I noticed while listening to it, which basically it takes elements from older songs, like even the from the Metataro song. I just like that detail for some reason. Then we have GJ, something like that. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, which at the beginning feels a bit like gent for some reason. And I like the fact that in this second half, there is more from the backing vocalists. I won't call them backing, because technically they're supposed to be just 3 singers, but watching their live shows I noticed that, yeah, there is a main singer and 2 other singers, which are not exactly main singers, but they're still part of the band. But then there's Sis Anger, which is just a clusterfuck of a lot of stuff. It doesn't feel too focused on anything. It does like add a lot of more pacing to the album, like it feels faster. I'm not sure if Sis Anger is supposed to be a reference to Metallica, probably, judging by the sound of the drums too. But it does pick itself up during the chorus, starts making sense again, then it just goes into clusterfuck mode again. I did feel like I was basically forgetting I was listening to the song, analyzing it while listening to it. But it I'm just sorry. But it does feel good to listen to. Like, it does feel trippy in a good way. But then there's No Rain, No Rainbow, which is like a song that just slows everything down. It has like piano and it has slow guitars, it has guitar solos. And I would suggest this one for someone who doesn't like metal too much, or at least not heavy types of metal. But then we get to the one I really don't like, which is Tales of the Destinies. Now, probably everyone will hate me, but I don't like this because if I thought that Sis Anger was a clusterfuck, at least I like Sis Anger. This one, it just feels like a bunch of stuff all like put together, copy pasted, and not aligned together well. It just doesn't feel like anything musically is going on until the chorus. Then it goes back to the whatever. I just don't like it. The only thing I like about it is the piano outro, which goes into The One, which is the last song from the album. The One English version, for some reason, is a song that I listen to live, and after I listen to it live, I pretty much can't listen to this version. I always want to listen to the live version, because this is how you make an ending. And even though the ending itself isn't as epic as the live one, it still is an epic ending to an album. and I wish it would just loop forever, the last part. Who knows the song would probably know what I'm talking about. But yeah, overall this album is good. But I just don't feel like it packs a punch like the other one. It has some things that go well for it, and some things that don't go well for it. For example, I would completely take out Tales of the Destinies. I would maybe put more focus on the other singers, since in the first half they only pretty much do sounds almost. Well, not sounds, syllables. Um, and overall, like, as a music, like judging the music, not the lyrics, just how the musical part of it stands out, I would probably recommend someone who likes metal but also can enjoy J-pop to listen to this. It goes a bit less into the J-pop than the first album, it goes more into the metal, and it feels a bit more pandering to that type of crowd, but I do like it anyway, and I will suggest for you guys to listen to it too. Let me know what you guys think, and if I should do more reviews of albums in general, but also like J-pop albums, J-rock albums. I do listen to that type of music a lot, and I would be glad to do that. So yeah, see you next time, and bye.